Alright, today's video we are going to learn how to make a black and white portrait and try to make it a little bit more dramatic than just clicking black and white. So this is what we're going to hopefully end with. Let's get started. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is open up and get my image. I'm just going to find an image of myself that I have downloaded. It's a raw file with a green screen in the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of take care of this a little bit. If I go to, let's see, default, this is where I started. I'm going to bring it up a little brighter, a little bit more contrast. Remember, we're going to do a black and white image, so contrast is going to be great. Let's see, maybe make the blacks a little darker. Vibrance is good. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see, maybe do I look too green? Maybe change the tint just a little bit more natural. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to open the image. Next, I'm just going to clean it up. Let's see. Zoom in a little bit. Get rid of that. Some of these spots, maybe make that a little bit bigger. With my magic tool here. Okay, that looks better. Next thing I'm going to do is just cut out my image. Pretty straightforward. Since I got the green screen, it should be pretty easy. I'm just going to use my quick selection tool, make it a little bit bigger, actually quite a bit bigger. Let's go. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to drag around. And yeah, because the green screen is there, it's pretty easy. I could do different ways to select it, but that's what I'm going to do. Select in mask. And to a new layer. That looks good. Now, one thing that happens when you have a green screen is you get this green little around the edges, and sometimes it gets in your hair, it reflects. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an adjustment layer. Let's see, hue saturation adjustment layer. And what we're going to do is, instead of the master, I'm only going to focus on the greens because that's exactly what I've got there. And I'm going to select the specific green. Let's see if I can get a good selection here. Maybe right there. Right there looks pretty good. And I'm just going to desaturate it. So notice when I did that, we were here, and when I bring it down, it pretty much just goes away. Okay. And if you think, maybe there's still a little bit left, you could do the same thing with the yellows. I don't know, when I look at this, I do feel like it looks a little weird here. So let me do the yellows, and I think I'm just going to desaturate the yellows in general a little bit. If I go all the way, you'll see it looks weird. I've got like no color. But if I go just a little bit, I think that makes it look a little bit more natural. Okay, so now we're pretty happy with that. Next thing we're going to do is change this to a black and white image. And hopefully a little bit more exciting than just a regular black and white image. Remember, it's easy. You can always just go to image, adjustments, and click black and white. Okay, but what we're going to do is hopefully a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to add another adjustment layer, and this time it's going to be gradient map. Okay, so obviously I don't want this gradient. I'm going to go here. I want the black and white gradient. And you might be thinking, yeah, that looks crazy. You're right. we're going to reverse it, and now it's starting to look a little bit more natural. But again, this is pretty basic. This is what you would get if you just click black and white. So we are going to click on this gradient here, and then you've got these options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this slider in, and if you notice, it's changing your highlights. So if you were going to make the highlights more white, more bright, I'm going to go maybe about 13. Looks good. And then here we're going to do the same thing with the shadows. And I'm going to bring this. You can see I'm making it more dramatic. Maybe bring that a little bit brighter. It almost looks a little bit blown out here on the side, but that's okay. And I think, if I go too much, I don't know. You can play with it, see what looks good for you. I'll go here. I'm pretty happy with that. That's okay. Close that. And now I'm just going to do a background. So I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to drag it underneath. All right, so for the background, we're going to use a gradient. Make sure your opacity 100%. We're on radial right here. Make sure you're on the first one. And I'm going to go from a gray to a white. So with the radial, what it does is makes kind of like a gradient, like a circle going out. So I like to have the circle start kind of in where my face is. So I click here and I drag up. And the farther you drag, the more spread out it is. And then you just let go. Okay, so that one, it's hard to see, but if you look here, the gray is in the middle and then the white's on the outside. So I'm going to undo that. I actually want it reversed. So I'm going to reverse my colors. My foreground's going to be white and then my gray is going to be in my background. So I want white in the middle and then gray as we go out. So I'm going to try it again. See, that looks a little bit better. Okay. But I still think I want it darker, so I'm going to make this darker. Let's go down here, something like that. Try it again. And again, if you only go a little bit, it only spreads out a little bit. You can't even tell. But if you look on this layer down here, you can tell. The longer you pull it, the more spread out that gradient is. So that looks a lot better. I'm going to try a little bit less. So it's I'm not sure about that. Let me try it one more time. Go. And it doesn't matter which direction you go because it's a circle. So I can go like that. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's see. Maybe what I'll do is instead of white, I'll make this like a gray. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, maybe I think that looks a little bit better. All right, so there is your black and white portrait. Hope you like it.